which is what we're talking about next. So we have a couple of armies, actually, I think 3, 4 armies that are worth
Yeah.
talking, not necessarily talking about the whole list, but aspects of them that we think are this might be something going into the future. And the first one is Jack Payman came 4-1 with the Call Boys. Now, this is one of your friends, Vane.
Yeah.
Well, he's a nice guy. We all like him. I'm not suggesting that,
I don't know if
we all
you
hate
like
him.
him, Mike. I don't know if you like him.
Yeah, he stole. He didn't steal nothing. He beat me.
He stole your
Bet
4-1.
he didn't. He won that 4-1. He killed 3 bloodthirsters in one go. I was like, I think I might have a cry. But we're not here to talk about my luck. We're here to talk about his list. Do you want to walk us through this about what is going on here?
Yeah, I can to the best of my ability. Again, it's going to be sort of a bit biased towards my experience playing against Jack
Mm.
and the sort of games that I've had based on my army. But his list is good, and he plays it really well. Every game I've played against him has literally, and this is not even like going over the top. It has come down to one dice roll that has won me the game. I've not lost this list yet, but it's because every time we played a 50-50 and I won. One of them was I needed a prior and I got it, and the other one was I needed to do magical dominance and I did it, and he didn't unbind me, so I was okay. He plays it. He plays a mean fucking game. He's really good. He's come out really strong with this. He's still quite new. He's still quite new to
Mhm.
the army as well, and he's still quite new to Age of Sigmar competitively in general. And for him to go 4-1 at this event, I'm really really proud of him. He did a really good job, and I'm
Lovely, yeah.
so happy I could experience that with him. Sorry, what's up, Ben?
Best general.
Yeah, he
Yes.
got best general. Yeah, because he was he came fifth, 4-1. But obviously with Crawl Boys, so that is a pretty big achievement. So I'm very
He
proud of him. He smashed
smashed
it.
it.
But yeah, in terms of the list, it's literally just everything is terrifying. He's got a big talking point, as we already spoke about, Mike, and I'll jump over to you in a moment. Is the 600 points of Gut Rippers, 2 units of 20. They are scary. They will die if you touch them, but there's 40 wounds there, so they're hard to cut through. It's 300 points for 40 wounds, and the other thing that we don't really even think about is that they hurt. They really, really hurt. You give them the poison. They're basically bolt boys in melee, and they
Yeah.
are really, really scary. And you can just and he nearly wiped an entire unit of Varangard against me with them once, and I was not expecting it, and it was terrifying. Obviously, he's got his bolt boys as well, which we all know terrifying, really scary. If you swing high, you're going to absolutely decimate, which happened, I think, to your bloodthirsters. Um, and
Yeah.
and if you roll really, but if you don't roll high, then it's a little bit shit. But I think that's kind of part of the enjoyment of the army is that
Yeah.
you're kind of rolling those dice, hitting that gamble. Obviously, Gobsprak really good in the current meta because we have a lot of spell casting going on, a lot of little wound wizards giving buffs. So you're actually, I've had games where I'm just like, I'm not even going to bother casting against it because I don't want to take D6 mortal wounds and just lose a sorcerer lord right then and there. Because obviously with the addition of the primal dice, if he unbinds you, then I think it is that, right? If you roll a 10 or higher on the unbind, then they take
D6. Yeah.
D6 mortal wounds, and he's a double caster, so you can do that twice. And it's like I could lose a sorcerer lord in one casting phase. So unless I absolutely must cast, I don't even bother against it. So it's a really, really strong unit in the current meta. Some really good spell lore as well. As I said before, he turned off a Gotrek's wards and just one turned it, just flat out killed it in a turn. So that's really strong. Blizzard as well. He likes the castle. So you come into the castle. Not only are you taking bolt boys to the face and maybe gut rippers as well. On the turn that he gets, he's going to blizzard you, and that's a potential of 24 mortals in your face. So that is terrifying too. Um, he's got a nice little addition. I think it's the killer boss with the stab grot, which makes it so that units that would flee, they only lose one instead of the
Mm.
amount they would usually use. And when you've got a unit of 20 gut rippers, that's really good, especially if you want to keep your CP and stuff. So that's a really good part. I think that's a really good addition. And then obviously the snatch boss on the sludge raker, which is just he's scary, and he has the Call of the War, I think it's called, where he then makes everything fight. He can choose 3 units and they all fight
Yeah.
in
The Cool
in
Boys
order.
bar is the general
The-
picks 3 units and they can fight in any order.
Yeah, that one's so
immediately.
it's really
Yeah,
strong. Yeah, so it's really, really strong. And he can do that at any point. He can do that in your turn as well, right? So if you charge into him, he can just pop it and bash your head in.
I didn't know that, but
I'm not
yeah,
sure if
no,
he
yeah,
can. I'm not sure if he can. I'm not 100%. But that again, because I'm not too sure about the army too much. Um, Grand strategy. I can't remember what in and out lads is. Do either
keep
of you
half your
know?
army alive.
Keep half your army alive.
Yeah,
So
something like
pretty.
that.
It's
Yeah.
not bad. Not bad considering all the options we do have at the moment. Um, and yeah, he's got and he's also grinning blades, so you can't be seen out of. He can't be seen within if you're outside of 12, which is really good against shooting armies. He played against the Iron Blaster list that
Mm.
the Iron Cannon list that Baz was playing, and yeah, the guy just couldn't do anything because what can he do? He's out if his entire army has to shoot, and if he's outside of 12, then what can he do? So yeah, really good list. I'm really proud of him, and yeah, I'll throw over to you, Michael. Or who wants to go first?
Um, I say like the key part of this, I think, is the gut whippers. I think there's a lot of play of them. I've seen another of our friends plays Crawl Boys and blocks of gut whippers. Yes, they die quickly. Yes, they need to be managed. That's what Hogwarts are for, so they die instead. Um, but yeah, this you already touched it. They're Bob Boys in combat. If they get into combat, a unit of 40. It's also about it's hard to get through them to get to the Bolt Boys, which is what I found is that I needed
Yeah,
to roll a priority to get through the gut. And they killed the gut whips, did that, lost the priority, and like, okay. And now we have a situation which is going
yeah,
to go really badly for us.
yeah,
Um, but that's it. You were stopped because the stab took a wound. So I did 6 wounds to the killer boss, which would killed him. The stab took one instead, and it's like,
yeah,
ah.
yeah. The stab got's really
Now,
helpful. Yeah,
yeah, Stabgort has just stopped the Rage of Corn. Awesome. I am doomed. And yeah, I lost 3 Bloodthirsters because it is a spike army. You play Cool Boys to spike sixes and fives. And when you do, it's like there's a magic number of 14 that I have come across with Cruel Boys is that if they hit well, you're getting about 14 mortal wounds. That just seems a number that keeps like Jack rolled 14 mortal wounds against my Skull Reapers. Kieran's rolled 14 mortal wounds against me countless times.
Mm.
It is something, and it's a really good list, and it's good to see the Gut Whippers getting their time in the sun. Ben,
yeah,
did you have any thoughts?
Not really. What hasn't already been said, other than we played a lot of Cruel Boys between Kieran and Elson, and no, it's a solid list. The Gut Rippers are with spears, I assume, fine with two
yeah,
inches.
yeah,
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 that seems like the must, to be perfectly honest. Without in this new handbook, without the fighting in two ranks,
yeah,
so no, really solid list, brilliant. Yeah, really well done.
yeah.
Can't really say any more. It's brilliant.
yeah. Well done on your 4-1. On the last list view from the LGT, he did say in the chat that in the hands of a good player, this could go 4-1. There we go.
There
Proved
you
it.
go.
He is the good player,
Yeah,
and he done
and
it.
he did get best in bracket at the LGT as well. So
Yeah,
he was 2-1-2 at the LGT. So honestly, he's been doing a great job since he's even started playing. That was the first time he took him to a tournament. He only had a few practice games before then, and he's ridiculously handsome. He's probably one of the most handsome men I've ever met in my life. So yeah, I would sleep with him. I would. I would.
all right, cool. Thanks. Um, next up, we have Ryan Lettinger, who brought. Now, this is interesting only because it's the first time on the tournament scene that I think we have seen, at least we have, Trog Herd, which is a new regiment of renown, or new-ish regiment of renown,
Yeah,
which has added to the Gloom Spike gets for Trogs. And Bean, do you have the list in front of you? So before Bean yeah, lists out,
I have the
essentially
book.
at the beginning of each battle round with Trug, or each time of his hero phases, he bangs himself on the head. You roll a d6, you get something, and you can apply it to your whole army. Do you want to let us know what the d6s can be?
Yeah. So if you roll a 1, this unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Don't apply that
If
to your
you roll
whole army.
you should. It'd be funny. On a 2, add 1 to the attack characteristics of this unit's melee weapons. 3, improve the rend characteristic of this unit's melee weapons by 1. 4 is roll a dice each time this unit receives a command. On a 2+, you receive 1 command point. On a 5, only unmodified hit rolls of 6 for attacks made with missile weapons that target this unit can score a hit. So you can basically make your entire army invulnerable to shooting for the most part. And on a 6, the unit has a ward of 5. So these effects last until your next hero phase, and as we said before, you can apply them to the whole army.
So, I know Ryan from playing him a couple of times at Quest for Champions. I tell the story a lot. Here's it for the stream. He and the other Gloons by Gits player said to me, both identically, is our new book comes out next week. At the moment, we've only got a 35% win record. Both tabled me. So that was when I thought, maybe Slaves of Darkness aren't the army for me. But we're not here to talk about my many, many failures, both personal and educational. So this essentially is a stand-in for here who normally plays the Mega Mob, which is one of the standard ones. One thing that came out of it was in the conversation I had with him is that the issue is it is not at all consistent. You do not know what you're getting when you roll that. You could end up with nothing. On a 1, you're not going to get these 3 mortals the whole army if you have any sort of sense. I think trolls have a natural 5-up ward anyway. So if you roll a 6, you're getting a 5-up ward for Trug. Missile attacks not necessarily great. Like depends on it. Depends very much on what you're facing. So as someone who played a lot of Trugs, that was his kind of a lot of trolls. His take was like he'd never take it again. It was interesting to see. It's great in casual games because that randomness. I think randomness really adds to casual games, like because you're just kind of experiencing what's happening on the battlefield, not really thinking about it matters to my win stats here. Here we have a pretty typical, maybe not pretty typical, a relatively typical Trog army. Fell Water Troggers are in there. We have the Rock Guts. Fell Waters are great because they can give you negatives to your save, which you cannot positively modify. The Bad Moonshine will start bringing stuff back. And yeah, Rock Guts are pretty standard, and Danko Troggos are the common pairs of 2, and are basically the unit version of the hero. But the big issue he found of it was lack of consistency, and you want consistency. That's my little spiel over. Ben or Bean, any thoughts?
I was just going to say quickly, and I'll throw it over to Ben. So only the Rock Guts have a ward of 5. The Fell Waters and the Dankholds don't.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So the benefit is that
Still not great, but it's still something.
And in a place where you do see a lot of high meta or high levels of attacks, that ward is needed. And you're not getting it every turn, which is a little bit hard to manage politely.
Yeah.
Ben, any thoughts?
The Fellwater Troggoths, are they the things which, if they get an attack through, is -1 to the save characteristic of the unit it hits?
Yeah. And it can't be positively modified.
Yeah, so I can see, like, you've got 2 units of it. It's worth a punt, really, isn't it? But like you said, and like what he said, it's a bit swingy. No, I mean, it's loads of trolls.
Yeah. I think the core issues still kind of exist for the Troggos that they were having already. The Trog herd, I mean, makes it maybe a bit better, but still, I mean, even then, like the command trait isn't it's not bad, but it's not great. It's when you roll the dice that determines the number of wounds you can heal with a friendly Trog herd's unit regeneration, because obviously all the trolls heal. You can add 1 to the number of wounds you can heal, so that's not bad. The artifact is that he just gains the monster keyword, and if he already has it, he gets to do 2 monstrous actions instead of 1, which is not really anything special. I can't consider that pretty weak for an artifact. I mean, you can stomp and you can stomp and roar, but I mean, it's not that deep. And again, you could roll a 2 and fail. So so it's not that great. I mean, the tactics, pick an enemy hero and you get it if you kill that with one of the units. By a friendly Trug. I don't know if everyone counts as a friendly Trug or if that's just literally Trug. So yeah, it just doesn't seem too great. And as you said, it can swing if you roll a 1 on that dice, or if like you want like the extra attack or the extra rend probably.
Yeah,
if you're going ham, and even then, I'm pretty sure they're quite slow as well, aren't they? So
yeah. As an opponent, it's a relatively easy army to manage, just like OBR.
yeah,
Just like know the movement, know where you need to stay out of,
yeah,
like to keep yourself out of an above average roll.
yeah.
And that's the difficulty. You don't want to, you
If
don't want an army that's easy to manage for your opponent. You want
yeah,
one that's easy to manage for you. Everything
yeah,
else is just shenanigans.
100%. I
Um,
think the other difficult thing is like they're all 4-up saves, I believe, right? None of them are 3. So they all get +1 to save when they're under the light of the bad moon. But if they were natural 3s, I think they would probably be a lot stronger. But because they're natural 4s, you can only bring it down to 3. It's not as good.
mm,
But
yeah,
obviously, I think if they were 3s, it might be really oppressive. So I don't know how I would think about that. But yeah, I think I agree with everything that's been said.
yeah. I would say at this point, I don't think this is something we see much on the competitive side of things. I
Mm,
think we'll see it a little, as we say, like as Rhinos trying it out. But moving forward, maybe this kind of falls into the history books. Which
yeah,
after Legion of the First Prince, I'm not surprised that they're probably aiming armies out of Renowned into the um, casual games as opposed to the competitive ones, where you
yeah,
have pink horrors and bloodthirsters.
yeah.
Any last thoughts
Mhm.
before we jump to the next one?
No, I'm all good.
Excellent. Well, the next one is the next army of renown that got brought out. King Broad Stomp. So Sons of Behemoth, King Broad, 2 Gate Breakers, and 3 Man Crusher Gargants. You all right, Ben? He's retired. Unfortunately, he was taken from us far too young. Um,
Bye.
he he
He's
just
off.
hates King Broad. He just
Thank
hates him.
God. He just hates him.
Yeah, he refuses to talk about him. So from what I remember is King Broad basically is a lot of extra shooting attacks with terrain, throwing things around and things like that.
Yeah,
Um, he so what is it? Command rate Big Eater. So if any models are slain by attacks made within 12, you can heal up to D3. So
yeah,
healing a Mega Gargant is always good. 35 wounds on them. The Amulet of Destiny, right, is a 6-up ward, which is not great generally. However, it's essentially 5 extra wounds on 35 models. Give like on average. The rest of this, it didn't have a great showing at the
you know what the score was?
it was I think 1 win.
Mm,
I think it was just 1 win. Um, we did have seen an uptake in Sons of Behemoth armies in the new GHB
yeah,
because try to kill a Gargant with D3 mortal wounds on a magic spell, you're going to be there
yeah,
a hell of a long time.
yeah. They were a good
Um,
answer to Seraphon, I think.
yeah. Also, I don't know what I'm just looking at the King Broad artifacts, and they've taken Amulet of Destiny, but you can take Lucky Shiny Hat, which gives you a 5-up against mortal wounds.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's not bad. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why maybe Amulet of Destiny was taken because
Yeah.
I've got the book here,
Oh,
so I can
okay.
actually see their stuff because I've still got it's all in this book. But I think from my perspective, it's the only thing that I really thought about that was kind of scary about this is the fact that they could pick up the terrain and then lob it, and then they could move over it.
Yeah.
And that could really catch you out because they can do that and get out of combat or pull other stuff into combat as well. Because it hasn't been FAQ'd yet apparently, so there needs to be a change or something. Because you can, I think, appear 6 inches away from the thing that you broke or 3, something like that. I think I've got it here. Yeah, so on a 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Then all models from the units that were on garrisoning that terrain feature must be set up wholly within 6. If it can't be, it's slain. Trying to see. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but as far as I was aware, you could pick something up and then go over it.
Okay.
Um, so it was a bit of a weird one, and I think that's what we talked about. Just be careful because it can catch you out a little bit, because something needs to be FAQ'd with it. But in general, I think I would love to play against this army because there's just big, easy targets for me to go and kill, and that sounds great for me. I don't have to deal with the thought process of, oh, there's screens and there's all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
Straight into the
there's
good
big
stuff.
models and I can go and bash them, and that's as simple as it gets. And it was, yeah. So, but I think, yeah, it probably does have some core weaknesses maybe.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of Sons of Behemoth is they are deceptively quick, and they can get across to you very easily.
Yeah.
Actually, the winner of this tournament took a Zinch army and found himself completely surrounded by Sons of Behemoth at the tournament beforehand, and was like, "Wow, that's a little bit faster than I thought they're going to be."
Yeah.
I think it's a base 10-inch move, and 8-inch charges. They're not impossible to make. Let's not
No,
let's not
100%.
kid ourselves around.
100%.
That's those kind of odds. If you've got 4 Mega Gargants, 2 are probably getting in. Got 5 attempts to roll. Ben, any thoughts on our good old Sons of Behemoth?
Um, I like playing against them with Nighthorn. It's good fun. Yeah, I've not played against King Broad. I always think that once one Gargan goes down, they're on the back foot
Yeah,
for the rest of the game. So pick one, delete one if you can, and move on. Um, yeah, it'd be cool to play against. I'd love to play against Gargan list. It'll be fun. So yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've never played them, but as someone who has
Me neither.
bloodthirsters, wonderful. As someone who has a lot of clan rats, terrifying. So
Yeah. I
the
was
duality of Sons of Behemoth.
I was going
Um,
to say as well, I just figured out as well what it actually is and why it hasn't been FAQ'd yet. So basically, it says once per turn in your shooting phase, you can pick one terrain feature and one friendly Mega Gargant within 1 inches of it. If you do so, roll a dice on a 2+. It's sundered, and if it's sundered, you roll a dice for each unit that has any models on or garrisoning that terrain feature. So that includes yourself, by the looks of it. Because any models.
yeah.
And so then all models from from units that were on or garrisoning that terrain feature must be set up wholly within 6 inches of that terrain feature and more than 3 inches from one enemy unit. So essentially what you can do is you could run up the board, get within 1 inch of a terrain feature, break it, sunder it, and jump 6 inches over it. So you get an additional 6 inches of move essentially.
Oh my God.
So you can go even faster because it hasn't been FAQ because I think it should be just for enemy units by the looks of it. But at the moment, you can mortal wound yourself and jump it. So I think that's how this works. If you
yeah,
can't, it's slain. So if you make a mistake and try and do this, and you can't pop out within 6 inches of it because obviously you got a gigantic base as well, it dies. So there's that.
You know what? Keep it. I say,
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
say,
cool.
let people roll the dice.
Parkour.
Oh,
It's
slay.
parkour gargants.
Just put
They're
them all
like
over the place. Let them
bunny
slay.
hopping terrain features. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh
I think that's what Paul and Jason were talking about in one of their recent videos about King Broad jumping out 6 inches and just
yeah,
like you said, parkour, vaulting over a boulder
yeah,
and just
yeah.
it's that extra distance, you know.
Yeah, 6 inches is nothing to scoff at.
No.
I
I'll do a compilation of all the innuendo throughout this
yeah.
show.
Christmas special.
Yeah.
No innuendos here. I'm just straight up.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see we see this replace other because there does seem to be compared to Trog's herd, there does seem to be a little bit of play here. An extra 6 inches on Gargants isn't at your right. That 16-inch move. I mean,
Yeah.
why would you not be taking that with these guys? And it's something if you're playing them to bear in mind that that Gargant is coming over. Like,
Yeah.
um,
And they also, just before we continue, they also get that access to the monstrous rampage of the 3d6 move.
oh, of
So
course, yeah.
yeah, so they can 3d6 move. This model can make a 3d6 move, but it must finish that move within 3 inches of enemy units. When it makes a move in this way, it can pass across models and terrain features in the same manner that it can fly. And everything it passes over on a 2-up takes d3. So it can move, vault, charge, 3d6 move, and then just end up on your back line all of a sudden, and you don't know how. So
I'm loving parkour Gargants.
yeah, literally, they're just going crazy.
Normally, you have this weird, not this weird thing in games where someone's moved a unit to your side and they're like, oh, can I just come round and sort that out? Imagine on turn one, someone has to say to you, can I just come round? I need some Gargant up behind your lines. It's like,
Yeah,
great. Come on in.
yeah, come join me.
So the last one of the nobles was, and it's here, Jack Morton's IDK. It's here because we have seen a lot of conversation about IDK sharks and that how IDK sharks are kind of propping up the IDK, who are, I think, on a 46, 43% win rate. But this guy came fourth, I think it was, and has brought a strong, but not necessarily traditionally meta, what we'd expect from IDK meta armies. A lot of Reavers, a lot of Thralls, the Achillean King, who is a monster of a unit. And Aether Wings, God, he hates IDK as well. Hates fish, hates giants. Sorry, that's just the way Ben is.
He's off.
Um, so if you don't know, to run you through this, the Reavers have shots that get extra. I think it's extra range with the Thralls. The Leviathan gives everybody a +1 to save and is a beast of itself. And the Aether Wings are just very quick at capping objectives. You can be bringing back D3 plus something. I think it's D3 +1 models, and there's a way of making
Yeah.
that a flat 3. So it's 3 + 3, so 6 models to each one. There's a lot of summoning, a lot going on. The Reaver shooting, very, very scary.
Yeah.
So, do you know much about this list, Ben?
I know a fair bit about the fishes because Ben again played fishes. He plays 2 very, very fast armies because it's just sort of his play style. This is obviously a little bit anti that because this is shooting, so it's a bit different. But I do know the kind of core sort of army, and he has played Thralls against me and Reavers, just not such in big blobs. But yeah, I think it's an interesting, especially since we have only seen sharks. But I think the recent point changes, they got dropped and then dropped again, has really kind of helped them to find their position. I think they are really good for their cost now. So yeah, I mean, just looking from the outside in, I mean the Leviathan is really strong as well because obviously he gives you that. I think it's a 12 or 18-inch +1 to save bubble, which is really good. Stacking with all your buffs that you get per the turns, it can be actually really hard to get through stuff. And obviously, if you do charge, you're facing an unleashed hell that can really hurt. 30 Reavers as well are gonna bash your head in. Like they are scary. They are something that's really hard to get into. And again, if you haven't committed enough into it, they will fight you back and hurt because they do. And he's going to unleash hell on you, so you might lose a couple of models when you charge. So, yeah, I do think it's a pretty strong list, and it has some really interesting play. I just unfortunately I have really good experience against super fast fishes, not slow fishes that shoot you from the other side of the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really good to see. And it's a good reminder that we sometimes see types of lists kind of come out that we see quite repeated. And the shark list
Yeah,
is one. I think at LGT there was 3 IDK lists, all had some version of a lot of sharks. Not to take anything away from you if you're running sharks, it's a good list. But it's
yeah,
just nice
the
to see
shard
like,
is pretty cool.
yeah, it's nice to see like other lists coming out by IDK that show they do have
Yeah,
play in other units.
yeah.
That's exactly what this
Yeah,
is.
I mean he was top tables until last game where he lost to
Mm,
Linford. He was flat top table. He didn't. I think after game 1 he was on the top and he stayed there until the end of the day. So yeah, he must have played it really well and played a really mean game.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Jack, if you ever see this great list,
Mm.
incredibly well played, and definitely worthy of its own shout out outside of the brackets.